So the Senate Judiciary Committee today released over 1,800 pages worth of transcripts of interviews that were done with the president's oldest son, Donald Trump Jr., and other participants in a June 9th, 2016 meeting at Trump Tower. The meeting is really significant because it was sort of the first known encounter during the course of the campaign involving members of the president's inner circle, in this case, his son-in-law, and his campaign chairman, and Russians. And this particular meeting, in advance of it, Donald Trump Jr. was told that he was going to be receiving dirt during the course of this meeting, and that the information he was going to receive about Hillary Clinton was part of the Russian government's ongoing effort to aid his father in the presidential campaign. It is interesting that Don Trump Jr. basically struck a defiant and unapologetic tone about having taken the meeting in the first place. He says, look, I didn't think it would be problematic or an issue for me to receive information about my father's opponent that could speak to her judgment, her character, her ethics. And so he didn't get a sense before the meeting that that will be an issue or problematic. And so that's sort of striking. Another thing that we learned from the transcript is sort of how bad or disappointing the meeting was for the people who were involved. So the Americans who were there, including Don Jr., Paul Manafort, and Jared Kushner, were sort of disgruntled during the course of the meeting about the information not being what they thought it was going to be. They came in expecting dirt, and apparently during the course of the meeting it was mostly about adoptions, and not about what they thought it was going to be, not about Hillary Clinton herself. So they were frustrated by that. It is true that Donald Trump Jr. in this transcript says, I never told my father before I took the meeting, and I didn't discuss it after the fact. And he says, I didn't talk to him about the statement that he was preparing on Air Force One as the story was about to break because he wasn't part of the meeting, and I didn't want to drag him in. There's one interesting moment, though, of a phone call that he handles and takes the evening of June 6, 2016, which is when the meeting was finalized and set up. And it's a phone call involving a blocked phone number. And he's asked quite a bit about that. Who did you call? Does your father have a blocked phone number? And he says, I don't recall, to all of those questions. So we're sort of left in the dark as to whether he was speaking with his father then about the fact that he was going to have the meeting. Special Counsel Robert Mueller is definitely investigating the meeting. He's taking grand jury testimony from at least one of the participants, and it's important for multiple reasons. One is, what is this dirt that Donald Trump Jr. thought he was going to be receiving? I think one of the real questions is, why did Don Jr., instead of saying, what Russian government effort to help my father, I don't know what you're talking about, seem to be sort of already aware that there was something underway, some sort of effort that pre-existed and predated the meeting to help his dad. That's interesting. That, you would think that he might say, I really have no idea what you're talking about, but he didn't say that in the email. So if you're Mueller, you sort of want to understand, what is it that Don Jr. had in his mind